Hello, little rats. Welcome back to another episode of Chatty Rats. We've missed you guys. I'm Sheen, and I'm joined by.
Natalia, hello, hello. We're back from our
just
diseases.
just juicing out of nowhere, but we are
Yeah.
finally back. I think COVID is really in the air because we both got it
No, it's out here.
separately. And
Yeah.
you know what my theory is? Like, I keep hearing people being like, oh my God, I just have like really bad allergies. I'm not sick. And I really think it's not allergies and it's COVID and they're just out in the streets, like spreading it everywhere. Because people are just so unaware and it's on the rise in my eyes. I feel like everyone I know has gotten it this summer, right?
Yeah, I agree. Especially like the last 3 weeks, I've seen like a couple of
Yes.
people posting on social media, like, I got the vid, I got the vid, I got the vid. And I'm like, wow, she's back.
People call it the vid.
I'm calling it that.
Okay, so it's like I've never heard anyone call it the vid.
Sheen is like, stop trying to make vid happen.
Yeah, I'm not really a
Sorry, I
fan of that
tried.
little rebrand. That's all.
Sorry.
But how are you? You went to Peru, you came back. I went to Puerto Rico. It is a Caribbean, South American summer for us. Did you have a fun
Um,
time?
yeah, I mean the family, it's a hug for the heart, as I like to say, or like my mom likes to say. It resets my soul. Like it reminds me
Yeah.
like who the fuck I am.
Is Peru in the Olympics?
Honestly,
By chance?
probably not. Not gonna lie. We're not the athletic type, I will say.
No, but there's so many categories. Like there's equestrian, there's like sword fighting, or it's not called sword fighting. What is it called? What
Oh,
am I talking about?
fencing.
Fencing. There's like so many categories. Weightlifting,
Dude, I don't even know if we are.
swimming.
I'll take a look. Cause maybe I don't know. We're not very good at a lot of the sports.
I feel like because for example, like Iran isn't that athletic, but there's still like very like niche teams like weightlifting, badminton, like just random ones, you know?
Okay.
So might be you guys as well. I love the Olympics time. It's just like a good I don't know. It's like there's always something on TV, something
Yes.
random. I really want to watch the dressage. I don't know if you saw I think last Olympics it went viral where it was like the horse dancing to EDM. That's like what dressage is when the horses kind of like dance on beat.
What?
Yeah, so I'm really excited for that.
Wait,
But
that's amazing.
I
I
feel like
wanna watch the synchronized swimming.
oh yeah,
I'm
those are good
obsessed with it.
too. I love swimming. Oh, the men are so fine.
Dude, they're like it's like a boat, just like insane, like a
Yeah,
powerboat. They're so fast.
they are. Yeah. I feel like I would have so much anxiety about not starting on the mark, but I guess they're just so trained.
They probably have anxiety, but yeah, I love the Olympics. I love the World Cup more even, like, I like
Same. I love the
season.
World Cup.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, World Cup, I'm obsessed. Because I feel like there's a lot of, like, Latin countries that
In the
I don't know,
world.
I just
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah. We digress. So what's going on in your life? I feel like both of us are haven't had the most eventful lives because we've been just quarantining at home.
Before everything fell in shambles, I do have one update, which I thought
Oh
was really
yeah.
cool.
Okay.
So we had like our friendship breakup episode, right? And I don't know if you guys remember, but I mentioned that I had this one friendship breakup that I thought now that I'm older, I'm like, it was so stupid. We like fought over a boy, and in today's day and age, I'll be like, ew, like who
Yeah.
cares about this stupid boy? And I edit the podcast, so I reheard myself talking about it, and it kinda got me thinking like, "Huh, what if I, like, reach out? Like, what's the worst that can happen?" We talked about how, like, sometimes we are afraid of the rejection if we reach out and stuff like that, but I
Yeah.
haven't talked to this girl in so many years, and, like, if I don't get the response or I don't get a text back or whatever, it's
Mm.
fine, right?
Mhm.
Who knows if this is even the correct number, you know? Like,
Mm.
so I, like,
How
remove
many
myself
years
from the
had it
outcome.
been?
Oh my god, it's been at least, like, 6 years.
Oh wow, okay.
So it's been a minute. So I don't remember the exact message, but I was like, "Hey, girl." Hey
Hey,
y'all.
girl.
Hey girl. I was recording a podcast episode about friendship breakups, and it got me thinking about like what we went through a couple years ago, and I just wanted to throw it out there that now in hindsight, I think that it was silly. That would never happen now, and I think
Mm.
like nothing but like great things about you, and I hope they're doing well, like something like that, something along those lines. And then she messaged me back, actually the same day. Didn't even make me sweat. She was like, "Oh my god, it's so great to hear from you. Like I definitely
Aw.
like learned a lot from that happened a couple years ago. I agree. Like I would have never let that get in the way of our friendship. Like it was
Aw.
so dumb." She was like, "If you're ever in San Diego, like let me know. Would love to catch up." So I
Aw.
messaged her back being like, "Well, I have a conference in November." Bam, 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 bam. Crazy. "I'll text you when I'm there." And she was like, "Oh my god, yes, like would love to see you." It was so
Aw.
nice.
What a happy
It was so
ending.
nice. I know. And I will reach out to her when I am in San Diego to see if we can get a drink and like catch up.
Yeah.
But I feel like it goes to show that whatever feeling you think someone has about you may not even be true.
100%.
You know, which I think it's great in this case. And it's nice to see that we both don't care about this silly thing. It feels like this one thing that was kind of like unresolved is now resolved and there's no like bad blood. So it like it
Mhm.
feels peaceful. So it was risque to do it, but it felt like now that I'm an adult, kind of like
I can
a
handle
mature
this.
thing to do. I can handle it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really nice.
And I'm sure you feel better. There's no longer that question mark, you know? The what if?
Exactly. I thought that was like it's like a positive thing. So I feel like if anybody has like somebody you've been meaning to reach out
The
to,
one
maybe
that
not your
got
ex.
away.
I'm talking
The
friendships
friendship
only.
that got away. Yeah.
The friendship that got away. Don't text your ex. You never know, like the outcome might be pretty unexpected because I honestly expected her to just maybe not respond. So it was like
Exactly.
awesome.
Or like blocked. Just
I'm
kidding.
blocked.
But yeah, I guess this is like a moment where it's like if you've been thinking about it, this is your little sign from the universe to do it.
I agree. And I told you that this is like it's a warm up to because I do have another friendship breakup that I do still think about. But this one, if I don't get a response, I'm still attached to the outcome.
Mm.
So I'm not
Wait,
ready for that one yet. But
I
it
think
was
it's
a
her
preparation.
birthday.
So
You
yeah,
could say happy late birthday to her.
I could. Scary.
That one's not as scary. I think happy birthdays are a good way to test the waters with friendships because it's kind of like, I don't know, if they don't respond, I don't take it personal. I'm just like, it was their birthday. They were busy. I made my thing and I said happy birthday. And I think it means a lot to the people when they hear from you on their birthday. You know, it's just kind of like, oh, okay.
Okay. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do
Test.
that.
Yeah. Just be like,
Put my
happy
toe
late
in.
birthday. Still think about you. Hope you're doing amazing. You know, like just keeping it light. It doesn't even have to be like our friendship break, you know? Like you don't have
Like
to go into like into
the
all of that.
essay of it. That's true. I can
Yeah.
keep it light. Okay. Maybe I'll try that today.
That is why exes and all those people slide in on birthdays and holidays because it's very low risk versus
And if they don't
just
text you back, it's like, oh my god, they got so many texts. Like,
exactly, exactly. I think it's time we have a little therapy session, you and I, and just
I
talk
know,
about the things on our minds.
I know. Now I feel challenged to text another friend, but something else. I did want to talk about something that triggered me this week, and I think that the fact that it triggered me is like it's a worthy conversation of having.
Yeah,
So I have a friend that is thinking about like moving to Denver, very exciting. And by no means was she like serious about this. It was like a very passing comment. Like she was like, if I move here, like, I gotta make more friends too, because you have a man out here and I don't want to be alone.
yeah.
And I was so triggered by it. I was like, oh. And I think I quickly replied slightly snappy and I was like, it's not like I died. I took it as like, oh, like, does she think that I'm gonna leave her alone? Like, there's no room for her.
Mm,
If because I'm in a relationship that I wouldn't make the effort. Because I feel like I am trying my best to like manage friendships and relationships and making
yeah,
sure that I don't neglect either. But anyways, yeah, like, what do you think about that? Because I was very much taken aback a little bit, and I was like, "No, like, I wouldn't do that to you. Like, why would you think that I would do that to you? Like, this is not who I am." Um, and it created, like, this weird fear in me, of like, "Oh my god, like, do am I becoming that person? Please let me know."
Yeah, I think it's interesting, but it just shows like how much it means to you, but also you have always said that you've been the friend on the receiving end, so I feel like that's why it's a bit more personal to you than it would be
Yeah,
like someone else. But I feel where she's coming from, but I also feel from where you're coming from because I think regardless, like it's really hard being the single friend when your best friend is in a relationship, no matter how much they prioritize you. Because at the end of the day,
mhm,
there's still little things that are just going to change. So I get that perspective. When you're single, you're like, okay, I still need other friends because it's like at least one of the days of the weekend, you're probably going to be with your significant other, right? Like
yeah,
there's just these little things, like your time is now divided. So it makes sense, but I do think you are someone who does such a good job about being like, intentional with making sure like you're communicating with your friends, you're hanging out with your friends, you're putting time
mhm,
for your friends. You know, you're not someone who's like my entire weekend is for my significant other. My nights are for my significant other. Like I'll just see my friends when I see them, like for a birthday or something. So you're not that person. So I think the trigger isn't due to it being like, is it you? It's more based on your past experiences, if that makes sense. Like it's triggering
yeah,
that old version of yourself who felt like she maybe like lost friends to their boyfriends.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think what helps though for me is that my boyfriend is so active. He does so many things with his friends. Like he loves to
Yeah.
golf or he like plays sports like basketball or like just he's always doing things where like I'm not involved. It automatically creates a lot of space, which is nice and I like that. And I think we talked about this like obviously things change because we have less time and less buckets, right? Like that's just
Yeah.
normal. Like nothing's going to be the same, you know? There's one more person in your life that you have to make room for if you're in a relationship. But how do we make sure that our friends feel loved, not neglected, and not like this weird us versus them thing? Like, how can we do better at making sure that your friendship feels like less unharmed, if that makes sense, or less untouched? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because that's my biggest fear. And I want to make sure that I check myself if needed, you know?
Yeah, I think okay, so one hot tip, which I think a lot of people don't realize, just because you're hanging out with your friends over your significant other doesn't mean it's enough. Because I have had friends who are hanging out with me, so physically present with me, but not mentally there. I can just tell that
Mm,
they're waiting to go home. Like they're kind of like doing this as a check mark. Like I'm gonna come to dinner, and then as soon as the 2 hours is up, I'm gonna like immediately dip out,
yeah.
or they're like texting the entire time. So it's kind of like, okay, this isn't really like a friendship anymore. Yes, you were here. Yes, you're checking off that you're hanging out with me and you're spending time with me, but you are not actually here. So, like, that's also another way you lose friends to their significant other because they end up like meshing into like one person. So, even when they're out with you, they're not really out with you because the other person is even not physically there. They're there on the phone or something like that, or just like
Yeah.
lurking, waiting to go home to them. So I think that's tip one. And then I think communicating is a big one, just like staying in touch, making sure you're still like engaged with them. Cause I think a lot of people get a significant other, that's the person you talk to every single day. And then you slowly like lose touch with your friends. And then obviously like hanging out, I think is like the last thing, like trying to make time for them as much as you can, even though your time is divided.
Yeah. To add to hanging out, I think that one thing that I hated when I was single and I had friends with boyfriends is that sometimes they made me feel like I was like leftover time or like leftover
Mm,
hangout. I know that makes sense, but basically, like if their boyfriend was not available,
yes.
then
Yes.
that's when
Yes.
they would see me, and I was like, oh,
Yes.
not me, the old sack of potatoes over here. Like
Yes.
it's like, "Oh, I only see you on Wednesdays." It's like, I'm feeling like a cheap booty call. Not even a
Yeah.
weekend. Where's my
Yeah, because
Friday night?
exactly. Or just like and then you're like, "Oh, like, where is Josh?" "Oh, Josh is playing basketball with his, like, basketball team on Wednesdays." And it's like, "Oh, okay. I see, I see."
Or like Josh canceled on me this Friday dinner because his friend is in town. So here I am with you. Ugh.
Because that is what makes you feel really, like, deprioritized where it's like, "Oh, like, I can't even get a Friday. Like, I can't get one of your weekend days because it's always going to Josh. Like,
Yeah.
throw me a bone."
Yeah, I agree. So I feel like that is one thing. And as I am in my relationship and I've been in it for like a year now, I definitely want to make sure that I check myself because I know that at the beginning I was very good and conscientious about it, but I'm obviously getting comfy. So even though I was triggered, like that's not who I am. I think it was a good reminder for myself of like keep myself in check that like friendships, family are important as well. Like keeping all your relationships healthy and happy because it's important that we take care of every single one because that's ultimately what's going to make us happy.
Yeah. It's hard
And
though, because you're right, because you get comfortable and it's just easy to
yeah,
just like, you have so much fun with your significant other, like, you can talk to them about anything, it just becomes easy to, like, fall into the loop of only wanting to hang out with them.
yeah, I agree. But then I don't know. Recently, I have gotten way more connected to one of my friend here, and like this month because I haven't had a comedy, we've had a lot more like her coming over, like
Mm,
watching a comedy special, like more like quick hangouts, and they've been like really nice. And I like love, for example, like us on the couch, like yapping, just like
mm,
gossiping and laughing. And I remember like her like leaving those nights and just being like, "Oh, okay, like this is what the girlhood is all about." It's
aw,
also been
yeah.
nice because I have our other friend from LA is here. So it was one night where it was like me, Jess, and Jasmine, all three of us, and we were just like hyenas on the couch. Um, and that reminds you, like, oh, girlhood is different. Like it's such a different
It
vibe than like
is,
you and your
yeah,
boyfriend. And like I felt
100%.
like full of life. So
Nothing replaces that, yeah.
no, it doesn't. It's just different.
Yeah, it's a different fulfillment for sure.
So this is to my girls that are in relationships. Sometimes when you get feedback like that, you might feel a little bit like, and then maybe want to like you might even want to remove yourself more, but rather than take it in like
Yeah.
a negative way of like, oh, like you're just mad because I'm in love. No, don't do that. I think that it's good to just be like, hey, how do I tend to my friendships as well? Am I tending to my garden?
Yeah,
Is everything watered? I feel like it's more important for us to be more self-aware. I think it's on more on us than it is on our single friends, to be honest, because we're
truth.
the ones in the relationship.
And,
So
like,
yeah,
your single
and
friends already are dealing with a lot.
like, girl, they are swiping, they are getting ghosted by Chad. Like, give them something. Like, they deserve.
You deserve a Friday night.
They deserve Friday night.
I'm joking.
No, but for real, especially having my one friend here, she's dating, and seeing those matches and seeing those text backs, I'm like, oh, it's scary out there. Let me give you some love.
When people say that in relationships, I'm just like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The trenches.
Yeah, I've heard so many people be like, it's kind of like you took the last helicopter out of Vietnam. Like that's the vibe that the dating world is giving now that you're in a relationship.
No, I'm dead.
Well, I guess it's nice to know because isn't Denver known as Memver because there's more med, so it's as
Yeah.
bad there.
I mean, yeah, it can be. I had a good time, but I mean, my friend, she's from LA. She's been dating here for the last month.
Oh yeah, how has she found it?
She feels like men are quicker to ask her out on the app, which she likes
Oh,
because
that's
she was like,
nice.
I've already had like 3 dates this month, whereas like in LA, I might have one, if anything.
It's so
Um,
weird because it didn't used to be like that, but I agree with her.
no,
It's so much slower now.
yeah. So
But
she likes it.
that's a good like feedback though. That's a good
So far
difference.
so good.
Okay.
And That was my feelings as well. Like, not everybody was husband material for sure, but you were going out more, which is
Yeah,
nice.
which is good. Yeah, regardless, you're like meeting more people, you're
Mhm.
getting out there, like good energy. But I
Yeah.
think that's a perfect note since we're in our little therapy session to talk about my trigger of the week.
What a segment.
Oh,
Trigger of the week.
trigger of the week since our life has not been exciting. But oh my God, you guys, you will not believe the conversation I had. We've had this conversation before, but this time it just hit different because it went a little deeper, crossed a little line, a little boundary. Basically, I was having like a conversation with my mom. We were just like talking because both me and my sister are in our 30s and we are both single. She's older, so it's different. And we were just talking about finding a significant other, like dating, things like that. And she was just like straight up saying, it is your fault, you guys being single. Like, the reason you guys are single is because you are not trying hard enough. And the Persian community will know this. Basically, there's this Persian psychologist or sociologist, but he's a psychologist. People call in with their problems. He's so famous, Dr. Holakui. He's on this Persian radio. And like the Persian moms are obsessed with him. And essentially, she was like, last week he was saying that you need to be putting in 5 hours a day if you want to try to find a husband. I don't see you and your sister doing that. You guys aren't trying hard enough. And I told you guys that if you wanted to find someone, like you had to have done it in your undergrad. And I was just like, I get you, but who I was choosing in undergrad, like you wouldn't want me to be married to them. Like, I'm so happy it didn't work out with them. And like, I'm happy it didn't work out with anyone else I was dating in my life because they aren't the right match for me. And like, I'm dating, I'm trying. And she's like, I don't know, I'm not trying to blame you. And I was like, girl, it sounds like
Girl.
you're trying to blame me. But she was just like saying how basically me being single is my own fault. Like, that was her conclusion. And I don't know, like it really hurts
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm trying. Like maybe if I want to like actually take a really hard look at myself, like maybe I'm not trying hard enough when it comes to like meeting people in IRL. I definitely could try to join like organizations and like I do go outside, but it's like yeah, I'm not meeting the right people when I go outside. So maybe I can be more intentional about like putting myself in different spaces. But other than that, I feel like I try pretty hard. Like I've gone on since being single, I've probably gone on like 20 something first
Yeah.
dates. Like I feel like that's a good amount. Like maybe you know, you hear on TikTok people being like they've gone on like 100 or they're trying to go on like so many more. So, yes, maybe I could be like I don't know, making it more of a numbers game, but I don't know. That was just like the trigger of the century.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been triggered like that. Because you know the thing is, Natalia, I think some of the reason this triggered me is because I have those thoughts. Like I look at myself and I'm like, am I
Yeah.
not X enough? Am I not doing this? Am I the reason I'm single? So it's like when you have someone as close as your mother, like basically being like, you are the reason you are single,
Mhm.
it hurts. Like it really hurts.
Yeah.
Even though I know she's not trying to offend me, it still hurts.
Yeah.
Because
My
I've
mom used to do that to me as well, so I get it.
really, what would she say?
Oh, yeah. Similar things of like, you're just so picky. Like if I would end it with
Mm,
someone because they're toxic, she'd be like, but are you just looking for things to not like?" Like it was
mm,
always my fault. um
yeah.
and then if I was meeting guys at bars, it's like, "Well, why are you meeting guys at bars? Maybe that's why they're not husband material." Maybe do like it was always something I wasn't doing. So I totally get that, and I feel like I resonate with the thoughts and the feelings of like, "Oh my god, it's my fault." Because we tell ourselves that, and then we brush it off. It's like, "No, no, no. Okay, girl, you're getting dark.
Yeah.
We're getting dark." But then when someone verbalizes it
Confirms
back
it.
to you,
Yes.
even if you still know it's not real, it's crazy to hear it back because like our girlfriends would never be like, "Oh yeah, it's your fault, girl," you know?
I
Um,
know.
if anything, they resonate with the sentiment that you're bringing to the table, which is like the dating is garbage, like it's really tough right now. But the adults don't get it because they come from a completely different generation where like
Yeah, it was
they
so
stepped
much easier.
outside and they had
Yeah,
marriage proposals out the door.
literally. Yeah, they
If
did.
anything, like their friends were like, "Oh my god, my son will be great for your daughter. Here you go. Oh, look at that, they're married." So
Yeah,
they just come from such a different world. And also back then, men were so marriage forward. You were
but
like
also just they were
22.
aggressive. They would approach you
Yes.
outside, but they don't really do that nowadays. Unless you're,
So
like, in a
I yeah,
context of, like, a bar, like, it's you will rarely, like, have a man, like, just approach you in the streets or at the grocery store or something like that. Like, it doesn't really
mhm,
happen quite the way it was, like, before.
100%. But oh, that's so shitty. I really think that it brings it back to another conversation that I feel like no matter how advanced our society is, how feminist we are, and all these things, like we still place so much weight on like us. Like we're not complete until we have a man, until we have the
Yeah.
babies. And I feel like men just don't experience that. Like I don't think
Mhm.
any guy is at their mom's house at like the age of 30, the mom being like, "It's your fault. It's your fault you're
Yes.
not single."
They would just literally the thing is they would literally be like, "Oh, like, don't you wanna get married? Like, you should start looking, honey." Like, it would just be, like, a
Yeah.
very sweet, endearing, but they wouldn't place the blame on the boy. I think that's what, like, triggers me is you can never look at it from the other angle. It's 100% the woman's fault. It's not like,
Yeah.
"Oh, maybe they haven't met the right person. Maybe it's not the right circumstance. Maybe it's being in a large city, it's going to take them longer." Like they don't look at it in those ways. They just look at it as like
Mhm.
you are at fault.
Yeah.
Like why can't we have
But
grace? But they have grace with men.
it's such a double standard, and I feel like it's always been this way, but if women are single or they are unmarried, it's very all of a sudden we're like haggards, right? It's like, "Well, what's wrong with her?" And there's
Mhm.
no thought about anything else. Whereas like men have a lot more grace. Like a man that's like 45 unmarried, like people don't bat an eyelash. But
Yeah.
if you're a woman and you're 45 and unmarried, people are like, "Oh, what happened to you? You missed the boat. Like what's wrong with you?" And I
Yeah.
I hate
Or
that
they're like
sentiment.
she must be so unhappy. She must be so like lonely and like
Yeah.
she can't possibly be fulfilled. But you wouldn't
Yeah.
say that about a man.
Us women, by now we all know that this is not true. But no matter what, there's always going to be that shadow that's like screaming in the corner like, "Hey, you're not enough." It's
Yeah.
so weird. It's so weird. Um I even feel it sometimes for me how like people perceive me different because I am on like a
Mm.
path to like eventually get married and have a kid. I have someone to do that with. And I see
Mhm.
how much like even like family validates my life now, right? Because before it was like, "Oh, like why are you doing the comedy or why are you doing the like shouldn't you invest that time getting husband?" But now all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, I pass. Like I'm all good." And I see that. I see that flip. And I'm
Mm.
glad that I'm conscious enough to see that flip rather than like just like feel cozy in this space. Um, but it's important that we check ourselves there too, because the reality is like if hypothetically, if we do have kids, if we have a daughter, she's gonna have the same issue. So if this has happened to you this week, just reminder that that's not true, right? That's just like a social
A
construct,
projection, yeah.
a
That
projection
I
too.
think that's the beauty and silver lining is, like, we get to be the ones raising, like, the next generation, and hopefully we don't project the same things onto our children, where it's like
Yeah.
they are complete without a significant other.
And I also think that if we just allowed women to exist and if we didn't have all this pressure, honestly, we might find someone if you just leave the F alone.
Yeah,
Because, like, we just don't need all this pressure to cloud our choices. This is what happens to a lot of women as well, is that they hear this pressure enough and they fall victim to dating someone that's not right for them. And that's so much worse than you waiting a little longer to meet someone.
exactly.
So, if we could just allow women to just be, let us
I know.
exist.
I know that's what I just keep thinking, and, like, I have to keep reminding myself is, like, okay, like, yes, you could go out and find a relationship, but, like, we don't want just any relationship, and, like, that's, like, the mantra I just repeat is you're looking for the person that's right for you, and, like, that is gonna take some time. Do not let this get you down. That's the only way I can, like, make myself feel better. Because yeah, I don't wanna do what you just said, like, I don't wanna just
Yeah.
go out and find a relationship because it's like that is a decision you should take very seriously, like, who's gonna be your life partner, especially if you want kids, which I do.
Yeah, and all in all, I just don't believe there is a formula
Mhm.
either. If there's something to try to find love, I have done all the things.
Yeah.
Like, down to going up to men. Like, I have done even the things that people say, "Oh, that's so brave." Oh, like, I have done everything you can think of. If we talk about my success rate, then it's 0.00000000001%
But that's
because I did
everyone's
everything.
success rate, if you think about it. At the end of the day, we're looking for one person out of, like, thousands and that we come across.
Exactly. But no matter how you meet them, it's still an accident, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the pressure of that, "Oh my god, like, you have to do all these things to, like, find
Mhm.
the one," is like, that is too much. Why are we doing this to
Yeah.
us to ourselves?
I know, I also like the woo side of me believes whatever is meant for you, you will never miss you. So like you're never gonna miss like the person that's meant for you. And when they're meant to come into your life, they will.
Exactly. Like, you don't know, your husband could be, like, breaking up with someone right now, like, they're busy, you know?
Exactly.
Like,
Like
don't
they're
worry
healing
about it.
right now.
Yeah, they're in therapy. Yeah, I'm sorry that happened. I mean, it's happened to me many a time, so and it just sucks, but bring yourself back to center
Yeah.
and continuing to do you and just allow yourself to be.
Yes. Maybe by next episode I will have met him. It's funny because I'm rewatching How I Met Your Mother, and I feel like that show
Me
is very
too.
really? It's so
Yeah.
funny.
Wait, it's so funny.
Because
It's
I
like
feel like
my cooking
comfort.
show or, like, in the
Oh,
background, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, 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 same. Because it's such a good show, and I haven't watched it in years, so I've forgotten about the episodes. Like, obviously, I know all the characters, I've watched all the way through, but, like, I forget, like, how everything kinda, like, turns out, so it's fun to
Like that.
rewatch at this point, but it's a very comforting show because like, I feel like
Yes.
Ted, the main character, who's, like, the
Ted.
hopeless romantic, who's, like,
Yeah.
looking for his girl and, goes through so many people before, like, he meets the mother of his children. Like, that's the whole premise of the show.
You know, it used to be my comfort show in college because I
Same.
I am Ted. Like, I am Ted. The person could be the one getting coffee
Yeah.
over there. Like, every feeling he went through, like anger or like that even feeling hopeless, like all like Ted is like the most relatable character
He's such a
to
relatable
me.
character, yeah, to, like, single
Um,
people, I feel like.
yeah, he kept me going. And then obviously I love Marshall and Lily because to me that's like what I want, right? Like in love because they're
But
so
I think
cute.
it's so funny when we were talking about when you're in a relationship and, like, what to do with your friends, I was thinking about a particular episode of, like, How I Met Your Mother where, like, Marshall and Lily, which if you guys haven't seen it, they're, like, the iconic couple that's been together since, like, college and, like, they're just, like, best friends, but, like, they still hang out with their friend Ted
Friends.
as well. But there's this one episode where Ted, the single friend, is like, Marshall and Lily have become we where like they've morphed into
Yeah.
one person. And I just think of that. I think that's like what happens with couples eventually. Like they morph into this one person where you're like, how are you doing? And they'll be like, we're doing great. And it's like, no, I'm asking how you're doing, not like how you and Lily are
Yeah.
doing, you know? But yeah,
Yeah.
thought of
No,
that
I
episode.
love
It's a
that.
funny episode.
It's a really nice show. If you haven't seen it, I feel like it's very hopeful. But I've been watching that show as well and like thinking about dynamics and how things have changed over time. Yeah.
Yeah, it brings me comfort. I'm like, I'm Ted right now. I will meet the father of my children someday.
Yeah. And I feel like Lily sometimes as well. There's this one episode I just watched where like which I just realized I just had this moment this week. Basically, Lily's thinking about having a baby. That she hears that Robin broke up with her friend years ago because her friend had a baby. And she's like, "Oh my god,
Uh,
Robin's gonna hate me when I have a baby." And she's worried about like losing friendships because she's in this relationship. So that's interesting.
Damn. Yeah, they have a lot of like real now that I'm older, I like see a lot of like the similar themes. Because when I was watching it in college, I don't think I related as much to the characters directly, but now it's very, very relatable because we're like almost the same age as them. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh my
funny.
god, yeah, you're right.
But we digress. We
That was a
digress.
good little rant. Watch How I Met
Yeah.
Your Mother.
Basically. Great show. But yeah, love you, little rats. We will be back next week. We won't leave you. We won't abandon you. Okay.
Okay, well,
Love
we
you,
love you so
rats.
much.
Have an amazing day.
Bye.
Bye.